What were Jupiter missiles doing in Turkey? Have you ever wondered why Jupiter missiles were stationed in Turkey during the early 1960s? This decision was part of a larger strategy by the United States during the Cold War. The United States deployed a squadron of Jupiter missiles in Turkey to counter the threat posed by the Soviet Union. These missiles were intermediate-range ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Their purpose was to provide a forward strike capability against Soviet targets, enhancing NATO's defense posture. In 1961, 15 Jupiter missiles were set up at 5 different sites near İzmir, Turkey. This placement was strategic, as it positioned the missiles on NATO's southern flank. The idea was to deter any potential Soviet aggression and ensure a rapid response if conflict arose. Although the Turkish Air Force took control of some of the missiles in late 1962, United States Air Force personnel maintained control over the nuclear warheads. This arrangement highlighted the sensitive nature of nuclear weapons sharing during this tense period. The presence of these missiles became particularly significant during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The Soviet Union's decision to place nuclear missiles in Cuba was, in part, a reaction to the Jupiter missiles in Turkey and Italy. The United States viewed this as a direct threat, leading to a standoff that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. The crisis ultimately ended with a secret agreement. The Soviet Union agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba, while the United States committed to dismantling its Jupiter missiles in Turkey and Italy. The removal of the Jupiter missiles took place quietly in 1963 under operations codenamed Pot Pie. Efforts were made to render the missiles unidentifiable, maintaining diplomatic discretion during this sensitive time. By the time they were removed, the Jupiter missiles were already considered outdated and vulnerable to Soviet countermeasures. However, their deployment in Turkey played a key role in the strategic balance of the early 1960s. From a nostalgic perspective, the Jupiter missiles symbolize the Cold War's shadow over everyday life. They reminded us of a time when superpower rivalries could bring the threat of nuclear conflict close to home, even in places like Turkey. The Jupiter missiles stood as silent sentinels of that uneasy peace, reflecting the era's blend of technological advancement and geopolitical tension.